Probably help if we had headphones. Okay, let's see. All right, delay. Bring up the chat. And we got chat. Okay, we got the chat. And Kathy's in the door. Pull up a chair and grab a cup of coffee and belly up to the kitchen table. Man. Hey, and the Ronbo's here. Well, I guess it's time to get started. Broadcasting live from station WDWL TV, Studio 1. Corporate offices located on Grumpy Vulture Boulevard, and my personal studios are on Grumpy Old Man Road. And this is me. And presenting the Grumpy Jackalope. Oh, the Grumpy Vulture. Take your bow. Pain in the ass. Straighten your banner. Look at the camera. Conserve on power. That's it. No more light. So, how's everybody doing? Man, I'll tell you what. Driving this car is a whole new experience. And from what everybody has been telling me, the earlier Passats suffered from turbo lag. Well, this one definitely suffers from turbo lag because you step on the accelerator and then maybe about 10-15 seconds later, the turbo is fully spooled up and kicks in, and holy shit, it launches itself. I'm like, holy Christ, I'm going to get killed in this car. So I definitely have to learn how to drive a turbocharged vehicle. I also have to go up to the VW guys and find out if there's any way of doing something with that because, man, that lag, you step on it and you're like, holy fuck. It lurches and goes. Man. Once I master this thing, it's going to be fun driving this. But until then, it's a completely new driving experience. There wasn't much traffic out today, so I decided to sneak around the neighborhood with my other two WDWL TV plates. As a matter of fact, I went through an intersection, and out of the corner of my eye, I happened to spot a Cleveland police car, and I was like, "Oh shit, here we go." He comes out, and I'm like, any minute now, roof lights, sirens. He goes to the next lane, pulls up alongside of me, and gives me the thumbs up. Which in turn I gave him the thumbs up back. He took off, and I hung a fucking right turn at the traffic light. I was like, I'm getting out of here. But they don't pay attention. Had they paid attention, they would have noticed there were no stickers on them license plates. And then they would have noticed they're phony on top of it. They didn't care. So I went down a couple of side streets, and then I hit another. I was on 150th. I went down to 140th, and there was not a car on the road. So I went from 140th and Emory down to 140th and Peerless, just rolling through the gears. Luckily, I caught the traffic light at green. I shot down to Peerless, hung a UE, came back. I was having fun with the turbo. But when that son of a bitch kicks in, it's like an afterburner on a goddamn fighter jet. You're just going along, speed is slowly increasing, and then the turbo fully spools up, throws you into the seat. Very interesting car. I'll say that. I'm going to have as much fun with it right now because come January, I'm not going to be able to play turbo lag. But it's definitely going to be an interesting experience. I can't wait to get it on the freeway. Because I didn't get out of third gear. I want to get up in fifth. And that's going to require a freeway trip. I could probably sneak up there, but be my luck there'd be a goddamn state trooper. I'd be like, oh, okay, assume the position, Step out of your car, Mr. Grumpy, we're going to tow it. Oh, no. Yeah, until I get the title, I can't be fucking around too much. Because if they impound that son of a bitch, I'll never see it again. Then, oh, Jesus. I didn't test the power windows. So I go to put the driver's side window down and it goes, went. I was like, gee, it shouldn't have gone down that fast. Yeah. Right off the track, into the door. So I opened the door up. And I'll tell you, for the prices that you pay for these cars today, they're made with plastic shit everywhere. The two window retainers that slide up and down in the track are made of thin, spindly ass fucking plastic. And when plastic gets old, it gets brittle. That's what happened here. Both the goddamn plastic mounts broke. The glass went down in the door. So I'm like, how the hell am I going to get this window to stay up now? Because there ain't nothing to hold it. Grumpy engineering. I come in the house and I got an old wire coat hanger. And I took and I clipped it in half and I made a hook. And I hooked it around the hole in the window glass retainer. So I put one in each retainer, pulled the window all the way up, then braced it, and took them coat hangers and bent them over the edge of the regulator panel and bolted it in real quick. You have to buy, it's like the whole inside guts of the door. It's a big aluminum panel, and I'll have to transfer the wiring over and the motor and be very careful with them goddamn plastic clips when I go to slide the retainers in for the door glass. I'm like, back in the day when we had crank windows and power windows, there was a big gear assembly in there and metal bars. Not today. You got plastic retainers that slide up and down on the track, and wire, thin, spindly wire that goes around a spool. So when you put the window down, it spools this way. And when you put the window up, it spools this way. Next thing, they'll be using goddamn fishing line. So the other two windows I only put down halfway. Kathy, it's not only that they're worthless, they're so thin. It's like imagination. And I'm going to have to be ultra careful when I get the new assembly and work those retainers into them clips Because one false move and I'll be breaking the new shit. It is the stupidest setup. If you want to see what it looks like, go on eBay and put in 2001 Passat window regulator. And you'll see this spindly ass crap. And from what I understand, all cars use it. Every single car on the market uses this spindly, shitty fucking plastic retainers. Even you buy a goddamn fucking Lincoln Navigator, it's got the same. All the manufacturers buy from the same goddamn window regulator company. It's I mean, thank God that this thing, I bought it cheap. Because I would hate to pay $50, $60, $70,000 for a car and then have my goddamn window fall in the door and the dealer go, well, it's all plastic. And like I say, with this car being 25 years old, the plastic's all dried out. It has no flex to it whatsoever. So I don't dare put the windows more than halfway down. Because when they go all the way down, you have that, because the windows are curved. You have that stress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of tape halfway, and then when I go to put a window down, it'll go down to the tape line and stop. Talk about cheap. Everything is getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, except the price of the vehicle. I would love to go into a dealership and somebody getting ready to purchase a fully loaded Lincoln Navigator for about, $110,000. And I'd say, wait a minute, let me take the door panel off and show you the shit inside the door. You don't want to buy this. Although, even if you buy the cheapest entry-level car, same shit. Because all the manufacturers buy from this one company. I looked it up. And this company makes door regulator units for everybody. It's sad. The cars are slowly turning into crap. Take a look. 90% of the front end of a vehicle is all plastic. The grill, the headlights, the bumper. And most of this shit is held in with clips instead of screws. So you break a clip, you're screwed. Like Marianne's, whatever that Hyundai is she's got. One of the clips on the edge of the bumper broke, and the cover was flopping. Well, I go to put it back in, and on the edge of they call it a cover. It's not a bumper. The bumper is underneath. It's that bar. This is called the cover. Well, at the edge of the cover, the little plastic doodad broke. There was no way to put the bumper back on the clip. So I told her, I said, the only way I can fix this is run a screw through it. And that's what I had to do. If you watch, there is a video on YouTube, and it shows the Ford F-150 assembly line. And all you see when they go to put something on, bang, 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 bang. You don't see screwdrivers. The doors have clips. They go to put the headlight assembly in, clips. They go to put the grill in, clips. Everything it's like a big Lego. Everything snaps together. And God forbid you have to take it apart. Now, I got lucky because I have some professional bodyman tools to pop the door, the door panel off. Because you break them goddamn clips, you can't put the door back together. Everything is clips. That's like the grab handle to close the door on the driver's door. All the clips are broken. So I'm going to have to put fucking screws into the sheet metal behind the grab handle, because right now if I go to grab it, it just pops out. Yeah, Kathy, we're driving Lego mobiles. Everything is clips. Very rarely do you find a screw holding anything. Clips, 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 clips. There is a oh God, I can't remember his name. I'll have to look him up. A Chinese bodyman. He's a master technician. And when he goes to put a car back together after he's made the repair, it's hilarious. He puts a tail light, bang it into place, make sure the clips hold it. The finish panel on the back, bang, bang, clips. Put the bumper cover on, bang, 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 bang. Everything is fucking clips. And like I mentioned, about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, this guy came in with a Toyota. I think it's a Sienna. It's a Toyota van. And there were two headlights, and then the radiator and the bumper bar, and that was it. And I says to him, I says, where's the rest of your front end? He said he was at Walmart and a guy wasn't paying attention, making a turn, and he clipped the edge of that big plastic cover. Well, the grill is attached to the bumper cover. So when the bumper cover fell off, it broke all the clips and the grill fell off. And the only thing he had is two headlights. And the front end was the radiator and the steel bumper reinforcement bar. And he told me he couldn't put it back on because all the clips were broken. It's amazing how many vehicles I see driving around missing the front bumper cover or the back bumper cover. The shit just, back in the day when we had bumpers, big steel chrome bumpers, Christ, you could hit something at 20 miles an hour and you're lucky if it would bend. Oh, yeah, little dent. Now, 5 miles an hour and the whole fucking front end of your vehicle falls off. And that's why insurance rates keep going up, because it's getting so expensive to fix these goddamn cars. Back in the day, maybe you'd pound out a dent in the fender and put a new bumper on. Not today. You're putting a bumper cover and headlights, and because you tap a front end or a back end and everything falls apart. And then, all these cars are like wedges. They're like a doorstop. So, like today, in the gas station was a Honda that looked like it hit the back end of a truck. And the hood was folded up like almost against the windshield, and the front fenders were all crushed because it probably went underneath, being like a doorstop. You hit the brakes, it noses down, and Oh, yeah, Kathy, years ago, a fender bender, maybe $200 worth of damage. Today, total loss. Like that Honda I saw today. That Honda looked like it was only a couple years old. It's a total loss. Because whatever it hit, it went way underneath. So it destroyed the hood, it destroyed the fenders, the core support with the radiator was laying backwards. It's a car that would have been repairable 10 years ago. Total loss today. Oh, yeah. Yeah, aerodynamic. Aerodynamically built so that if somebody stops short in front of you, you're going to be aerodynamically underneath them. And I have never seen so many vehicles roll over. I watch a shitload of YouTube videos showing accidents, and a car will get hit like on the rear quarter panel, and next thing you know, it's rolling over. Back in the day, it took a lot to roll a vehicle over. Not today. I saw a video. A guy, he was only doing like 20 miles an hour. And he ran a red light. And there was an SUV. I couldn't tell what it was, and all he did was tapped the back corner. The SUV spun around and laid over on its side. Back in the day, a vehicle wouldn't even have spun around. I have never in my life seen so many vehicles roll over. I wouldn't own a brand new vehicle today. And I blame it on the government. Because, we need them to be lightweight and aerodynamic so that they get 40 miles to a gallon. Well, we're sacrificing safety for that. What do they have it now? 30, 35 miles to a gallon they want. Well, they're going to make vehicles out of cardboard next. It's ridiculous. Back in the day, if you had an SUV, it was built like a tank. Not today. Take a look at the thickness of the steel on new cars today. You could just about take your thumb and put a dent in a fender. couple weeks ago, my neighbor had to replace a fender on his daughter's car. And I just happened to be there when he took the old fender off. And this magazine weighed more than that whole goddamn fender. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. The steel was so thin, I took the old fender that he took off and I bent it in half. I couldn't have done that 20 years ago. Yeah, I asked him, I says, what are you going to do with this fender? He says, I'm going to throw it away. I said, wait a minute. I grabbed that fender and I bent the son of a bitch right in half. That's how thin it was. There was nothing to it. And then they wonder why these cars fold up like cardboard boxes. Although, I'll tell you what, this Passat is fucking heavy. We had to push it to move it out of the way. It's a bitch. I thought maybe that the tires were welded to the concrete. I'm going to feel safe in this car. Because it's got some weight to it. Not to mention it's got fucking airbags everywhere. Everywhere I look, airbag, airbag, airbag. In the seat, airbag. But it's amazing for, I wouldn't call it a small car. Maybe intermediate. It's about the size of a Ford Taurus. But it's got some weight to it. Not to mention, I'm trying to figure out how to put all my radio equipment in this thing. And it's amazing, the RAV4 had so much fucking room. Not this thing. I'm at a loss as to how I'm going to install everything. I could take part of the center console out, but I don't want to do that. I might end up putting them in the back seat. Oh, Kathy, talking about flames. You ever see a goddamn Tesla go up in flames? And the fire department, they can't do shit. They just stand back and let it burn itself out. Any of these vehicles, like the hybrids, where basically it's a combination of a regular engine and a battery, where you could run it off a battery. When them goddamn batteries go up in flames, the fire department can't put them out. They have to just stand back and watch it burn. Go on YouTube and look up Tesla fire. Or anything that's a hybrid that's got a lithium battery in it. If they pour water on it, it's like putting gasoline on it. It makes it worse. They have tried foam, like they use at the airport. They have no way of putting these goddamn cars out. They have to literally stand back and let it burn itself out. Another reason I wouldn't own one. Couple months back, there was a Toyota Prius that caught fire in a shopping center parking lot. And the fire department came out and moved everybody away and just let it burn itself out. Very rarely did you ever see a car back in the day have a battery catch fire. Now, sometimes it happened, but not like today. And the government, they're trying to ram these goddamn electrical vehicles down our throat. I talked to a salesman. He worked for a Ford Chevy dealership. And he said they can't even give these goddamn hybrid vehicles away. People don't want them. He told me that they have a, what is it? A Blazer. Blazer EV. It's all electric. He said it draws a lot of attention. They've had it 6 months and they can't. Nobody wants to buy it. As soon as they find out it's electric, people don't want these fucking cars. And basically, the people that are buying Teslas are basically buying them because it's a gimmick. Oh, I own a Tesla. They're not buying it because they're green. They're buying it to show off in their neighborhood. Oh, look, I have a Tesla. There's two up the street. And both, because I've talked to both people, they bought them to say they own one. Neither one of them are green. They both bought them to say, I own a Tesla. And you know, when Teslas first came out, okay, now it's like, I own a Tesla. Who the fuck cares? Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's about it. I laughed at the guy up the street. I said, what did you buy that piece of shit for? Oh, I got it for a good price, and it's a conversation piece. I said, yeah, to make everybody laugh. You got a Tesla. I think it's hilarious seeing the extension cord, because he doesn't have the supercharger. It's plugged into an extension cord. Because we don't have any chargers around here. If he wants to charge, he has to go out in the turnpike. There are no chargers around. I said, why would you buy the goddamn stupid thing when it's not like California. You know, just about every gas station has a charger. Not around here. I would not buy anything I couldn't fuel up. Buy an electric car and go, where do I fuel up? Oh, in your driveway with an extension cord. And see, they were going to put more charging stations across the United States. Well, when the government subsidy got taken away, that ended that. Oh, really? I haven't been to Walmart in ages. I don't know if ours have. I know Costco has two. I'm going to have to check with anybody I know that goes to Walmart. Are they free? Because I know quite a while back, like Costco, you could charge for free if you shopped at the store. I don't know if that's still, and like I say, I don't know if our Walmarts have chargers. I don't go to Walmart. Really? Holy shit. I'm going to have to look into it. Yeah, I know. I had heard through the grapevine that if you had a Costco membership, you could charge for free. But they only had two. I'll have to talk to my buddy and his wife because they go to Walmart weekly. Oh, wonderful. That that that'll blow out a charger in a hurry. Water and electricity don't mix. You know, if I had an electric vehicle, I would be paranoid. You know, because it tells you you have 80% charge left, or 50%, or 30%. I'd be like, ugh. At least with my Passat, if I get down near empty, there's gas stations everywhere. You know, that's like, I think it was Obama era, where the post office was going to slowly convert the whole fleet to electric. Well, I'll tell you what. When I go up to my post office, I see a lot of brand new Mercedes Sprinter vans. Or not Sprinters, the small one. And it's cool because where the Mercedes emblem would be in the grill, they cover it up with the post office eagle. But there's no electric postal vehicles around here. They're all either those ugly Dodge vans. Oh, those are those are the ugliest looking things. The Dodge Ram van or whatever they call it. They're actually Fiats. They're made in Italy. People don't know that. I think it's called the Punto. The Fiat Punto van. Well, the ones that are for export to the United States, they put Ram. But they are ugly looking van. Oh, I laugh every time when my letter carrier, every now and then she has to drive one, and she parks it 2 houses away from me, and I laugh. I tell her, "Oh, you drew the short straw today and got the ugly van." Well, I'll tell you what, Ron. There are more gasoline Amazon vans around here than the electric ones. Every now and then I'll see the front end of the thing looks like a frog with them big round eyes. But 90% of the Amazon vans that are delivering around here are gas. UPS, gas. FedEx, gas. Now, maybe out west, the closer you get to California and Nevada, you see a lot more electric. Not around here. But those Amazon vans are ugly. I call them the frogs. Here comes a frog. I can't believe Jeff Bezos approved that design. Those things are ugly. With their little orange eyes. And the tail light that goes all the way around the back of the truck. They step on the brake and the whole ass end lights up. It's one big monster tail light. The Amazon had to build a special terminal for the electric vans. So that they could charge them all. Because we got goddamn Amazon warehouses everywhere around here. But they built one special one for the electric vans. And like I say, I might see one every 2 weeks or so. You don't see a lot of them around here. Then I think it's thoroughly hilarious out in California, they got electric semis. I'd feel real safe going cross country with one of them. I don't know if the truck stops have charging stations or not. Although I think they're strictly for fleet. I don't think an owner-operator can buy one of them yet. That Tesla semi. I think they just use them at the port of California. Another ugly looking truck. Yeah. All these electric vehicles are ugly. But if you notice, you don't have a big choice of electric vehicles. It's not like every single model has an electric variant. Matter of fact, when I was talking to the salesman at Ford, he said his dealership has not sold one electric F-150 yet. And he said they've got 5 of them and they're sitting. People don't want that electric shit. Matter of fact, I haven't seen a commercial for the electric Ford F-150 in months. When it first came out, God, there were commercials constantly. And same thing, Spitzer, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, whatever. When I drive past the dealership, I see the same 6 electric Jeeps. Who wants an electric Jeep? Oh, I'm going to go off-roading. Better check to see how long my extension cord is. At least, if you're off-roading up in the mountains and you run out of gas, somebody will bring you some gas. Kind of hard to bring you some electricity. I went up to the auto parts store and I got some octane booster. Because that old gasoline, oh man, does it stink. And the Passat was smoking because that shit is varnish. So I went up and I bought some racing fuel booster, octane booster. Put that in the tank. It's been running a lot better. I still have to get to the gas station. I wasn't brave enough to go to the gas station. But I got to get about 6-7 gallons of 93 octane. I was just going to drive it out, and the guy up at the service station told me, no, you'll fuck up your injectors. Put some octane booster and put 6, 7, 8 gallons of 93 octane in it. So I got the octane booster. Now I have to go get gas. But there's no way I can take the back roads and sneak around. God, back in the day when we had gas stations on every corner, I could do it. Not now. Maybe if I get some good gas in there, the turbocharger will spool up faster. Boy, talk about turbo lag. Oh yeah. Although it's actually fun when that turbo kicks in. It's like somebody booted that car in the ass. And the whole thing is, you don't hear it. You know, like on a semi, you hear that turbocharger winding up. You don't hear it on this thing. It's just all of a sudden it kicks in. Matter of fact, we've got, oh, what the hell do they call them? Tuners. There's 5 or 6 guys that have a club, and they call them tuners. And I'll tell you what, some of these kids, holy Christ, the money that they pour into their engines. The next time they're up at the shopping center, I'm going to ask them, what can I do with this thing? Man, they put some big ass turbos on them little engines, though. Holy Christ. It's amazing the money that those kids spend on their engines. And when they're going down the road together, they sound like a big giant hornet's nest. I'll have to see what they can suggest to tune my big 1.8 liter 4-cylinder. Yeah, Christ, the shitbox got a bigger motor in it. The shitbox is a 2-liter. Goddamn Passat, 1.8. I gotta do an oil change too, but it takes that goddamn synthetic oil. Oh, man. Costs you twice the price for that oil. Although, for the little distance I drive, I'll only have to change oil once a year. I'm watching the delay. It's hilarious. What do you average a month, Kathy? Although you're out in God's country. Like back in the day when my uncle had his farm. Of course, you had to drive 10 miles to get to the grain store, the feed mill. For groceries, it was like 12 miles to get groceries. Not like today, you run up to the corner. My uncle needed a pack of cigarettes, he'd have to drive 20 miles, Of course, it was all farm country. Although I miss going out there. Especially if me and the twins wanted to go down to the general store and get ice cream, just jump on the old farm wall. Goddamn sheriff never stop you. And I mean, he knew that we were young. But that's the way it was back in the 50s and 60s, Christ, I think we were 12. Yeah, me and the twins, we were 12. And we would just jump on my uncle's old farm wall, and one girl sat at one fender and the other twin sat on the other fender, and I just drove down to the general store, and 90% of the time in the parking lot out front of the general store was all tractors. But the sheriff, he could care less. Matter of fact, he'd wave, "Hi, kids. Hi there." Riding the old farm wall. Matter of fact, the farm wall didn't even have a key. It just had an on-off switch. Turn the switch on, push the starter button, and away we went. Unless one of the twins wanted to drive, then we took her father's Massey Ferguson. Yeah, he had a brand new Massey Ferguson. Holy shit! I don't do that in a month. Since I've been keeping track, I haven't even come close to 60 miles in a month. Oh, Jesus. 60 to 80 in a day. God. Man, you go through brakes and tires and oil changes. Holy Christ. A Jubilee? I never heard of a Jubilee. Although back in the day, you had Farmall, you had John Deere, you had Minneapolis Moline, you had Massey Ferguson. I'm trying to think some of the tractor. Ford. Back in the day, everybody made tractors. A Jubilee. I never heard of one. Holy shit. Man, you wear a vehicle out. God. It's worn out before you pay it off. Unbelievable. You're really out in the sticks. Not like being in Ohio. God damn. How many miles is it to Nashville? Oh, Ford made it. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. What's a round trip from your house to Nashville and back? God, you go through brakes and tires and oil changes like crazy. Holy shit. Definitely built Ford tough. Oh, oh, oh. Although, you know, Kathy, back, I think to go to the supermarket, I want to say it was like 30, 35 miles one way from my uncle's farm. But you know, they didn't think twice about driving that distance because you had to. You know, they go grocery shopping once a week and drive 35 miles to the supermarket, and you didn't think twice about it because you had to do it. But today, God, if people have to drive 10 minutes to the supermarket, they're like, oh, God. Takes me 12 minutes to get to the supermarket. Oh, man. I remember now, my uncle, and I mentioned this several times, he drove for Tip Top Bakery. He would take a load to Columbus every night. And then he would pick up an empty trailer and bring it back. Now, Kathy, anybody else, it won't make sense. He lived in Columbia Station and drove downtown to like East 65th and Chester every day to go to work and then drove back home. Now, he would drive all that distance to go to work, get in a semi, drive to Columbus, drop a trailer full of bakery, pick up an empty, and turn around and come home. And that was before I-71. You know, that was basically an 8-hour turn to get down to Columbus and back. And then to drive from Chester back out to Columbia Station, Root Road and Station Road. I mean, he wore out cars left and right. His DeSotos. That's all he ever owned. Can you imagine making that drive from home down to 65th and Chester in the snow? And he did that every day, well, 5 days a week, for like 20 years. He would get to work, hook up to the trailer, which was already loaded, go to Columbus, drop the trailer at Columbus at the Tip Top terminal down there, and then hook up to an empty and bring it home. And then when he got back, jump in the car and drive back home. He wore out cars. I think he bought cars every 2 years. Because besides driving back and forth to work, you'd put on 30 miles one way to the supermarket, or 20 miles to the doctor, 15 miles to the grain mill, and think nothing of it. All right, driving to Nashville, 3 hours round trip. That's about what I used to do when I was dating a girl in Columbus. Because it was an hour and a half one way to get to her apartment. And I was doing that weekly. And there were some times, Kathy, I would drive down on a Friday night, pick her up, bring her back to Cleveland. We would go to dinner or do whatever. And then Sunday night, I would take her back home and then turn around and come back. Talk about putting some miles on. Because there wasn't much to do where she, in Columbus. So I would go down, pick her up, bring her back. We'd spend Saturday, Sunday doing whatever, movie or you name it. And then Sunday afternoon, I would drive her back to Columbus and then turn around and come home. And I did that almost every weekend. So going to Nashville is like a trip, round trip to Columbus. Because Columbus is 150 miles, roughly. But Christ, doing 60 to 80 miles a day. Holy shit. No wonder you buy Fords. Built Ford tough. Not to mention, they're easier to fix. Christ, I have to go out and buy frickin' tools to work on this goddamn Volkswagen. Every goddamn bolt, nut, and screw is a Torx. No flathead, no Phillips. Torx, everything. Torx, 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 Torx. So I have to go out and buy Torx tools. Yeah, I go to change the mirror because I bought a used mirror because they're both broken. And I take the door, open the door up, and I look, and the goddamn bolt holding the mirror on is a freaking Torx. Luckily, it wasn't that tight because basically I used an Allen wrench without stripping it. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Everything is Torx. Every bolt, nut, and screw, Torx. So I have to go out and buy more tools just to work on the stupid car. Basically, since it's can't be driven until January, I looked and the brake pads are like 50%. I would like, screw it. I'm going to put new pads all the way around. That way I'll have perfect brakes. I might as well get everything out of the way now. Not to mention when we still have decent weather. I'll get the filter, oil and filter changed. I'll put new brake pads all the way around. I checked the coolant. The coolant is great. I don't need to flush that. The heat is, oh man, does that, oh. I lucked out, that car's like a toaster. When I come back from running around, the temperature was at 190. It holds perfect temperature, 190 degrees. So I decided, let me check the heater. Holy shit, like a blast furnace. I was like, oh boy, I'm going to love this car. The Freeze Baby is going to have a toaster. Man, did it throw some heat. And was I happy. I wasn't so happy about having to charge the air conditioner, though. How stupid. Although they were telling me all cars are like this. Every car, every vehicle, even your F-150. They have climate control. So when you set the temperature for like 70, if it starts to get a little too warm, the AC kicks on. And that's how it stays at 70 degrees. I never heard of such shit. All year round, your air conditioning is actually running. So if you, and especially if you have dual, you set your side at 70 and your passenger wants it at 74, the air conditioner's kicking on to keep it at that temperature. I never heard of having to make sure your AC was charged in order to run your heat. But that's what he told me. So we put more Freon in it and it's cold. But me, I turn the heat up full weight. But I can see once the car gets hot, I'm going to have to turn it down. But that made me very happy. Extremely happy. I have to have heat in the winter. I'm a freeze baby. And it's got heated mirrors and a rear window defroster, which I hope works. I'm going to love this car. It might be my daily driver, and the shitbox will be my backup now. I can't wait till January. That way I can legally drive it. I can sneak around with it. I could actually go up the marks. I wouldn't want to take and go to Aldi's or Save-A-Lot, but I could sneak all the back streets to go to Mark's. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I have to go up there anyway. I'll take my Passat. Another thing I have to get used to, as soon as you start moving, it locks the doors. First time it did that, it scared the shit out of me. I started to pull out of the driveway and I'm like, whoa, what the hell's that? Yeah, as soon as you start rolling, the doors lock. And then I reach over and I unlock them. And then something I noticed last night, which I think is cool. When you open the door, there's a light in the bottom of the door panel that illuminates the pavement. So when you go to step out, it's all lit up. I think that is the coolest thing. All four doors. When you open them up, there's a light in the bottom of the door panel, and it lights up your pathway. That is the coolest thing. And the Germans are cool. Yeah, I opened the door, Kathy, and I'm like, where's that light coming from? And then I looked, and there's a little light in the bottom of the door. And it's bright, too. It illuminates a pretty good area. And then you have the dome light, and then you have map lights, and then when you flip the sun visor down, you have a mirror light on both sides. I could put on my makeup. This car's got more toys on it. It surprises me. And then it's got a thing in the dashboard that tells you how many miles you're getting to the gallon as you drive. Although the strange thing, in order to turn the headlights on, you have to have the ignition on. Like I was going to check, the headlights and the taillights, and I flipped the switch, and nothing happened. I was like, oh, wonderful, the goddamn headlight switch don't work. And I kept flipping it and flipping it and flipping it. And I decided, oh, well, I'm going to play the radio. And I turned the ignition on and the fucking headlights come on. I was like, Jesus. Did I ever tell you the story I was going, this was last year. I had to get on 71 for something. And I'm going down 71, and I happen to look over. And there's a woman driving next to me. She had the newspaper over the steering wheel. She had a cup of coffee in her hand. She had her finger hooked in the steering wheel, holding coffee, talking on her cell phone. I did a double take. Reading the newspaper, drinking coffee, and talking on her cell phone. Going down the freeway at 70 miles an hour. I got the hell away from her in a hurry. Although I've never seen any putting makeup on while they're driving, but I wouldn't put it past, after seeing that. I was right next to her, trying to get her attention, like, lady. Yeah, she got her cell phone in her ear, her finger hooked through the steering wheel, holding a cup of coffee and the newspaper over the steering wheel. Reading the paper, driving down the freeway. Talk about an accident waiting to happen. I couldn't believe it. And all she was doing was holding the steering wheel with her pinky. Because she had the cell phone up to her ear with her hand. That was scary. I'm like, gee, you can't read the newspaper when you get to work? You gotta read it while you're driving? I wish there'd have been a cop around. I'd have said, hey, that white Mercedes, stop it, pull it over. I wonder how she would have explained that if she'd have gotten stopped. Well, officer, I had to catch up on the news on the way to work. It's important. Holding a cup of coffee. Driving with her one pinky. Insane. You know, the problem is they don't enforce that shit. You're not supposed to be on your cell phone while you're driving. But it doesn't get enforced. Cleveland's so short-handed on police the way it is. No. I was in the RAV4 at that time. I haven't got the nerve to get out on the freeway yet. Not with phony license plates. You know, that one. Front and back. On the front it says Fox, and on the back it says NBC Universal. And no stickers. That's why I say when that cop was behind me today, I was like, oh no. Then they just pulled alongside me, thumbs up, and took off. And I hung a quick right and got the hell out of there. They probably thought I was an actual news vehicle. Because it says WDWL TV on the doors. They probably looked and went, man, that station can't afford new equipment. Hey, oh, man. Yeah, I think I'll sneak up the marks with it tomorrow. Because I can do it back streets. Maybe if I get brave enough, I'll sneak to the gas station and get some gas. I'll have to play the traffic tomorrow. What an experience, though. My first ever turbocharged vehicle. I had heard, oh, we're talking, 20 years ago, different auto reviewers stating that the Volkswagens with the 1.8 and the Audis, because the Audi is actually, if you come right down to it, my Passat is an Audi A4 in Volkswagen skin. Everything is the same as an Audi A4. If I look up parts, it'll say Audi A4 1.8, Passat 1.8. It's the same car, just different sheet metal. And I remember reading different auto reviews back 20 years ago, and they all complained about turbo lag. Now, in 20 years, the turbochargers are improved, but boy, does this thing lag. It takes a while to wind up. But when it's spooled up, it's like a jet engine all of a sudden. First time it did it scared the shit out of me. I'm like, what the hell happened? And another thing, I have to go through the gears quicker. Because before the turbo spools down, you got to be in the next gear. Otherwise, every time you go into a different gear, you wait for the fucking thing to spool up. That's one thing I learned today. Soon as it spools up in first, you go to second. Then while it's spooling, you go to third. Because if I take my good old time, it spools up and down, up and down, up and down. Like I say, it's a learning experience driving this car. But come January, I'll have it all down pat. I'll know every idiosyncrasy of this vehicle. And boy, did I luck out. Because I had to order both side view mirrors because both of them were busted. The one that I got from a boneyard out in Arizona is the perfect color green. Exact match. But the one that I've got coming from Pennsylvania is dark blue. I guess I'm going to have to get me a rattle can of dark metallic green and spray it. Oh my God, a sob. When I was in high school, a friend of mine had a Saab Sonnet. S-O-N-N-E-T, a Sonnet. And it was a two-stroke. When you got gas, you had to fill the oil tank, and then it mixed. And boy, that thing smoked like hell. A Saab Sonnet. It was a cool car, but you had to fill the gas tank and the oil tank at the same time. I don't know if it was turbocharged. I know it was a two-stroke. Strange little car. But it was cool. What Saab did you have, Ron? Because they were like goofy numbers. A Saab 94 or something. Because I remember seeing the turbocharged ones at the auto show. But see, back in the days when they were first putting turbochargers on cars, they had turbo lag something fierce. Not like today, like, the goddamn Ford EcoBoost with twin turbochargers on it. Those turbos are spooling constantly. Like on the Passat. It takes a while for it to spool up. But once it spools up, holy shit. Yeah, back in the early days of turbos, every vehicle had turbo lag. Every vehicle. And then when the goddamn turbo kicked in, yeah. It was like you had a rocket booster. Because I remember my buddy's wife had, I can't remember what Dodge she had. She had a Dodge, it was like a K car with a turbo in it. and it was the same way. Had turbo lag, something fierce. It was either a Dodge or a Chrysler. It was like a K car with a turbocharged engine. Because I remember neither my buddy or his wife understood turbochargers. And the salesman really did a hard sell. Oh, this has got a turbo. You're going to get excellent mileage. And my buddy was like, what's a turbo? That's like, I wanted to order a cold air intake because every vehicle that I've got has a cold air intake on it. I can't order a cold air intake because this thing's got an intercooler. It's like a little tiny radiator. Because when they had the hood open at the service garage, I asked him, I said, how can I put a cold air intake on here? And he goes, you can't. I says, why? And he goes, well, look down here. And there's a little itty bitty radiator. He said, well, this has got an intercooler. Yeah, you get the fresh air and it goes down through this little radiator and comes out the other side of this little radiator and goes into the intake. It looks like a heater core. It's a little radiator tucked down in the fender. He said, oh, it's turbocharged and intercooled. I guess I have to read up on intercooling. Grumpy isn't up on intercoolers, but I got one. I have some learning to do with this car. Turbocharged, intercooled, tiny little. Well, it's not tiny. Gee, the engine has got 20 valves. I was like, oh man. Yeah, 4-cylinder with 20 fucking valves. I hope it never needs a valve adjustment. Oh, God. Oh, I forgot to bring them stupid. I'll have to show you that spark plug thing with the coil built into it. Another stupid idea. Yeah, each spark plug has its own coil. Not like back in the day, you had a coil on the firewall, points, condenser, rotor. None of that shit on the new cars. Christ, back in the day, you'd buy a new car, you jumped in it, you drove it away. Now you have a car, you have to read up on everything. And then the Volkswagen takes that stupid red antifreeze. I have a full brand new gallon of green. Now I have to go buy red. I didn't even know there was red antifreeze. I do now. And then it takes Volkswagen power steering fluid. You can't use just regular generic. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's the guy at the garage trying to explain it. It's got different additives. Like the red is got more additives than the green, and you can't mix them. It's like a science now, you know. But if the car uses red, you have to use red. Christ, red antifreeze, synthetic oil, Jesus. What's the difference? One's red, one's green. Oh. Oh yeah, if you put green antifreeze in, you'll fuck the car up. It's like, you know, when you charge the air conditioning, you have to use that new special Freon 134A, which is twice as expensive. You can't put regular Freon in because it'll screw up the air conditioner. You can't put green antifreeze in because it'll screw up the engine. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Thank God the antifreeze reads at like 70%. So the guy at the garage told me, he said, shit, you won't have to change this for 2 years. I said, good. So as soon as the auto parts store is taking waste oil again, oh, I don't need to take it to the auto parts store. I just remembered my little service garage up the street has an oil burner for a heater. it runs on waste oil. He told me, bring me all the oil you want. I can use it in the winter. And he says it burns clean, no smell, no smoke. Cost him a fortune for the thing. But he doesn't have to use gas. It burns waste oil. So he told me, when you change your oil, bring your old stuff up. I said, good. I'll tell you what, father and son, the son's got to be in his mid-20s. Smart kid. He's ASC certified, Volkswagen certified, Audi certified. He's going to school for Hyundai Kia. The kid knows his shit. I'll tell you what. Yeah, he told me, I think he said they paid like 10 grand for that oil burner. And he said it fires up like a furnace and it burns clean, no smell, no smoke. Oh yeah, Kathy, they're like 2.5 blocks away. I could almost walk. Little typical mom and pop garage. Father and son. Matter of fact, I hadn't realized the father said he's owned it for 30 years. And matter of fact, it's an old Atlantic Richfield gas station. Because I remember back in the day, that's where my father used to buy his gas. The building is like 70, 80 years old. Matter of fact, it's still got the hydraulic lift. You drive on it and it's got that big post in the middle. And it looks old. I mean, it's a quaint little building. And like I say, I remember back when I was a little kid, it was an Atlantic Richfield station. My father bought his gas there. So I'm really familiar with the place. But they were telling me that heater was like $10,000. But like he said, when I do an oil change, I just dump the old oil in the tank. And it's got 4 oil filters. So he said when the oil goes into the burner, it's pretty clean. Because they have to change the 4 filters like every 3 weeks. So he told me, bring your waste oil. I'll take it. But great, I'll tell you what. They're Puerto Rican. Now, Dad is kind of hard to understand. And when they were done with the car, I told him, I said, well, it's going to take me a little while. I got to walk up there. And Dad said, come pick you up. He drove right to the house, picked me up, took me back to get the Passat. And the kid's got a sense of humor. I love the kid. Him and I were joking around when I went to pick it up. And they're very fair on their labor rate. So anytime, Kathy, if I get stuck, I can take it up there and I know that they're going to take care of it and they're not going to, take advantage of an old senior citizen. Because when he told me what it, cost to find that short, I was like, really? And he said, hey, we want people to come back. And I said, oh, you're like my grandfather. I said, my grandfather always said, I'd rather make a little bit of money on a lot of people than a lot of money on a few people. And he said, yeah. He said, we want people to come back. I said, well, I'll be back. Especially with this thing. Ugh. But the kid he stays up on his education. He's constantly taking refresher courses. Like I say, right now he's going to school for Hyundai and Kia. He's got his certification for Volkswagen, Audi, Subaru. He's going for Hyundai, Kia. More foreign cars. Because so many, everywhere you look is a Hyundai or a Kia or a Subaru or a Volkswagen. But I lucked out. I really lucked out. I lucked out even more when they found the short. I'd have never found it. I wouldn't even have known where to look. And it was up under the dash. Because the kid said, I was laying on my head under that dashboard soldering wires. And when they gave me the bill, I was more than happy to pay it. For two reasons. One, they fixed the problem. And two, it was easy. One solder connection and I'm driving the car. I usually bitch about paying an auto repair bill. I was like, oh, no problem. I'm happy. And they told me they gave me a discount, which I was even happier and very appreciative. And I told them, I'll be back. And to think, I drove past that place just about daily and never realized what they do. And they are busy. Matter of fact, it was a rare occasion because he told me, if you can get the Volkswagen here today, we had 2 people cancel. I'm standing around right now. I said, I'll call my towing company right now. I went home. Hello, Allstate Motor Club. And the girl went, are we towing the Passat? I said, yeah. How do you know? Well, it's in our system. Oh, good. Yes, we're towing the Passat. Hopefully for the last time. Because I only got 2 more calls. You only get 4 a year. And then they send the same towing company with that big jagundous fucking flatbed. You know who suggested them? My neighbor, Carlos. Of course, Carlos is Puerto Rican, and, you know, they all know each other. He goes, why don't you take it up the street? I said, where? He said, Ryan's Automotive. I said, it's a Volkswagen. They'll fix it. Go up, talk to them. So I went up and talked to them. They said, bring it up here right now. I said, well, I can't until the towing company. 2 hours, they were done. You know, fixed, running, driving. I'm as happy as a clam that fell out of a clam bake. Because I was kind of worried that come January I wouldn't be driving the thing. Although, like they told me, Jim did a lot of repair work on that car. He spent a lot of money, and then when that frickin' wire broke, he got pissed off and he said, I'm not spending any more money on this car. And that's when he shoved it in the backyard. And had he known it was just a little wire that broke, he'd have probably fixed it. But I'm glad he didn't, because I bought it cheap. Nothing like buying it for junk price. That's another reason I didn't really mind spending the money to get it fixed, because I bought it dirt cheap. Jesus. But I think it's going to be an extremely reliable car now. I really do. Because it fires right up. No rust. Because when they told me when they had it up on the lift, they said, gee, the underside of this thing, it looks great. Matter of fact, they couldn't believe it was an 01. I said, yeah. I said, it's an 01. They said it's in great shape. So I think I'm going to get several years of good service out of it. I hope. Fingers crossed. So I knew I had to, which I'm sorry I had to sacrifice our coffee time at the table. But, and Kathy, Cleveland weather, it can change at the snap of a finger. So I'm trying to get as much done and out of the way so it's in tip-top shape come January. Yeah, basically, once I get the brake pads on it, it ain't going to need it. Well, I got to put that regulator unit in the door, but that's no big deal, Well, yeah, it's a big deal. I got to be careful how I hook the glass back in without breaking the fucking plastic. But brake pads are easy. God. 4-wheel disc. Pop the caliper off. Pop the caliper, put the new pads in, pop it back on. I don't have to turn the rotors. So by January, it'll have new brakes. The engine's perfect. I have a radio. And I lucked out with that too. Although I do have a fancy radio to replace it with. I bought the one with the flip out screen. It was $48 or make offer. So I offered 40. And the guy said, sold. Although I would like to have that radio because it's got the pull out screen, touch screen, but I'll put it away under the desk in case this radio goes bad. That way under the desk I'll know where it's at. Because I still can't find them goddamn cameras. This week, I have to rearrange my bedroom closet. I have a sneaking suspicion I put them there. Just saying. I remember I put some stuff in the closet, but I can't remember if I put the cameras in there. They're not in the closet here because I already went through it because I was looking for my little tiny CB, which I did find. I have a little tiny CB for the Passat. I really wanted to put my fancy Cobra in there, but it's so big. So I have this little cute tiny CB. And the cameras weren't there. So I have a sneaking suspicion. Now, They might be in the armoire that my TV is on. Or, no, it's called a sideboard. It came out of a dining room. The girl called it a sideboard. I have my TV on it. They might be in there. That's all right. They're both in the bedroom. Sooner or later, I'm going to find the bastards. Because you're not the only one that wants to see this sign turning colors. Oh, it's multicolored right now. Red, blue, green, yellow, orange. Yeah, I gotta find them cameras. And with that, I think it's about that time. We know where, right here, WDWL TV. And with that, everybody, thanks for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And we will meet again tomorrow night. Take care, everybody. See ya.